10:31. Are we good on the, what? And clear this up. So one of the things that I would love to happen, hi everybody, welcome, good morning. We're just going to do a couple of little details of the live stream. So you're sitting out in the back on the screen. What I would love to happen,
Welcome to Unity on the North Shore Sunday Service. Whether you're joining in the sanctuary or joining us virtually on Zoom today, or watching us later on social media, we're glad you're with us. I'm Alyssa Foster, your worship assistant. Today, Priscilla Florence and Michael Panozzo are our prayer chaplains. Reverend Kurt Condra is our speaker today, and Henry Pleece, Laurie Willer, and Dennis Luxon will share their musical talents with us. Let's get started now with prayer. Holy Presence, we know that in God we can never be separate from love, from truth, from an infinite intelligence and the source of all good. We gather here in this sacred time to open our hearts and minds to the one power and one presence. We gratefully receive the energies of divine light and love pouring in and through us. We affirm we are here this morning for a divine purpose. We trust that the purpose is now being fulfilled, for we know we are now in the presence of pure being, immersed in the Holy Spirit of life, love, and wisdom. And so it is. Amen. And now, Laurie and Dennis will bless us with our opening song. Thank you so much, Laurie and Dennis. That was really beautiful. Unity is a positive, practical approach for spiritual living based on the teachings of Jesus and the power of prayer. We believe there is truth and beauty in every spiritual tradition, and so we honor the many paths to God. Wherever you are on your spiritual journey of faith, please know that you are always welcome here. At Unity on the North Shore, our purpose is to create a safe space where people are empowered to take risks and live their deepest truths. We do this by acting on principles of inclusivity, encouraging creative spiritual exploration, embracing innovative possibilities, collaborating to create community and personal growth, living truth principles. If this is your first Sunday with us, we want to extend a loving welcome to you. Upon discovering Unity, many of us were surprised to learn there was a spiritual community that thought and believed the same things we did. It felt like coming home. We hope your experience with us this morning is equally powerful and that you'll return. Please complete a guest card in our Welcome Center at the back of the sanctuary if you are here live with us, so we can further welcome you. Next up, please welcome Priscilla Florence for our daily word.
Thank you, Alyssa. Good morning. My name is Priscilla Florence, and I am serving as your prayer chaplain today on the platform. Your prayer chaplain by the candle who will pray with you, should you want it, after church is Michael Pinoza. Let us begin by reflecting together on today's daily word. And as I read, allow the words you hear spoken to become a silent and powerful meditation within you. The daily word for today is passion. My purpose fuels my passion. Purpose sets my heart aflame with passion. Each day, I awaken ready to answer the call of my heart, to give my best efforts and fullest attention to purposeful activity. Passion is the energy I bring to everything I do. I discover the glory of God through passion. As I do the things that make me feel the most alive, that fill me with energy and zeal, and color the world with huge hope and promise, I recognize the divine presence behind it all. God is the source of all the passion I feel and the purpose that drives me. My passion is not for me alone. The life energy that radiates from me inspires those around me to live a life of purpose and of passion, to boldly express their divinity as only they can. And our verse today comes from 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 11. Whoever speaks must do so as one speaking the very words of God. Whoever serves must do so with the strength that God supplies. Now, as we continue to focus on prayer, I invite you to relax. Close your eyes if you wish and focus on your breath. Take a gentle, deep breath in. And as we release it, we relax and we let go as we still our minds and open our hearts, peacefully resting in the presence of divine spirit within. God is present in and around us and our loved ones, right here and right now and always. let us rest in the silence, holding in prayer yourself, your loved ones, in the silence now. Dear Holy and Divine Spirit, we also hold in prayer all who are suffering and affirm the presence of God's love, grace, and guidance in every person and every human condition. And so it is, and so we let it be. Amen. I now invite you to request a personal prayer. For those of you who are here in person, you can place your written prayer request in the prayer boxes in the sanctuary. For those of you online, you may enter prayer requests in the chat box or use our website prayer link, which will also be posted. All prayer requests will be prayed over for 60 days, 60 beautiful days. Prayer chaplains are also available after the service in the back of the sanctuary. And now we return to Dennis and our musician guest for more inspiring music.
Come my way, my truth, my life, such a way as gives us breath, such a truth as ends all strife, such a life as killeth death. Come, my light, my feast, my strength, such a light as shows our feast, such a feast as man's in length, such a strength as makes his guest. Come, my joy, my love, my heart, such a joy as none can move, such a love as none can part, such a heart as joys in love.
Thank you, Henry. Thank you, Henry. Thank you, Dennis. So, It's interesting that as we're sitting up here this morning, it's pretty cloudy outside. So sitting in the sides here, it's much darker than it usually is. I was saying it's interesting sitting up on the platform because it's so cloudy out this morning that it's very dim and dark over in that corner. And I'm realizing that that's exactly sort of what I want to speak to this morning. So there are no accidents, right? How many have had a week or a time in life, a period where you just felt like you had made a plan and God was laughing? Yeah. That's been this week for me very much. Everything that I had on my expectation, all the things I thought I was going to check off the to-do list, that didn't happen, at least not in the way that I expected it to. And so what I've been sort of recognizing and realizing is that I also took it as a sort of reminder to make sure I really deepened my own practice this week so that I could come from a much more centered place. And that happened luckily early in the week, right? So by the time we got to Thursday, when we realized that there was a mix-up with the soloist, I was in a space where I could accept. There are times when that information would have sent me kind of into a tizzy. I'd need to solve it. We've got to figure out what comes next. There's going to be all the mind gets really busy trying to fix what the expectation was that hadn't been met. Have you done that? Like, whatever needs to happen, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to make it happen. And there's a level of anxiety that is a part of that energy that is very counterproductive. I read a little passage this week from a wonderful book that I received from a dear colleague, Richard Billings, gave me this book a while back. It's written by H. Emily Cady. And she said she's talking about this ability to trust when we move into those places where it's not going the way we expect, what it's like to trust and be able to rest. That's the name of the chapter. And she says, quiet tension is not trust. It's simply compressed anxiety. And that compressed anxiety becomes the energy out of which we create, right? Even though we know better, even though we know that, okay, if I can, and I've gotten pretty good at least I think, you guys probably know this better than I do, I think that I can sit in a place of being still and quiet, right? That from the outside, it looks like I'm kind of going through the motions, but on the inside, there's still that level of anxiety that's that compression that's going to frustrate the ability for spirit to really create something beautiful and wonderful out of whatever that experience is. So what I noticed by being really grounded in that practice early in the week, a really deeper place, is that when we realized that, there's a mix-up in the solos that we had in line, my first thought was, we've talked about doing an instrumental Sunday in the past. If we aren't able to find someone else in that instrumental Sunday. So we got on the phone, and Lori had agreed at pretty last minute to come in and do some music with us. And so that was pretty cool. But, I was still in that space of being open to it. And then yesterday we had a really beautiful memorial service, and Henry was the soloist. And his voice just filled this space in a beautiful way that just touched people's hearts. And so half jokingly, I wasn't really attached to it, half jokingly I said, hey, Henry, you do anything tomorrow? And that's how he came to be with us this morning, yeah? So, and I'm sure you have had those experiences, right? Where you are moving from a space and sort of inspired from a place of consciousness that is really being guided by a loving force that's greater than what your mind is trying to figure out. You've had those experiences, right? Here's the piece. Unity on the North Shore is sitting in that right now at a much bigger level. I mean, that's one little demonstration that happened and got solved in a couple of weeks, right? But we're sitting in that place of questioning. What is the question about what comes next? As we start to contemplate what happens when this building is sold, where do we go? What does ministry look like? Who's going to be with us? How many will be online? Will they be across the country? What are the programmings that we're sitting in all kinds of questions that as our minds get busy with it, will tend to frustrate the ability to really listen to and hear Spirit speaking out of that unknown space, right? I love the, last time I spoke, which is a couple weeks ago, I mentioned that I have this, and I'm probably moving out of the field of the camera. Martin, I can see you're following me. Thank you. One of my favorite authors is Barbara Brown Taylor. She's an Episcopal priest who's long since retired and is now writing and teaching. But I came across this title. It's a fairly new one I hadn't seen before, called Learning to Walk in the Dark. And it's sort of like being in the unknown space, this kind of energy that we're talking about. And so much of the ways in which we are educated and enculturated really trains us to be fearful and suspicious and frightened of the dark from the time that we're very, very young. Dark is bad. You know, even most of the that's not true. The familiar references in the Bible stories tend to be the ones where it's out of the darkness, and darkness is sin, and darkness is bad, right? We want to get to the light. And in Unity particularly, we really like the light. We want to see all the answers that are in front of us. We want to dwell in that light space. We want to stay in the light all the time. And what this book is helping me recognize is that, you know what? We miss some beautiful blessings when we're not sort of able to have the resilience to be in that dark space, to be in the darkness. I was reminded of, that Muhammad Ali, there's an interview where he talks about the difference between white and black and the connotations. And it's like the black sheep is the one that's the outcast. It's like the chocolate cake is the devil's food. It's like there are all these associations that we have that are totally unconscious, but they color our ability or even our willingness to be present to the blessings that occur in darkness. So what I'm inviting is that as we sort of begin to contemplate and walk through this journey together as a community, that we begin to sort of maybe shift our thinking about whether or not being in this place of unknown, it might actually be a blessing, right? That as we can stay open and receptive and unafraid. I don't want to say unafraid, because fear is going to come up, and that's just sort of that's part of being in the darkness too. But to sort of pull that back and recognize that really there's nothing we need fear in that dark space. As we remain sort of resting in that trustful place, the capacity for God's power to come through and express in a beautiful, more concrete way is made clear. There's one of the illustrations that Barbara suggests in that Learning to Walk in the Dark is that when the Israelites have they've left Egypt, they've escaped, and they've been now sort of traveling for a number of months now in the wilderness. They're out in the desert, but things are starting to get hairy. They're getting restless. They're not quite sure about their faith. There's all this. They're starting to react and act out against what they have been told is the way they behave. And so at the foot of Mount Sinai is the place where God comes to them and says, all right, we'll make a covenant about this, right? And at Mount Sinai, they agree there's like a 3-day period. In 3 days, they're going to make this great covenant. So Moses is excited about it, and he's been up and down the mountain making plans with God so that all this is going to go well. And the day arrives that the covenant is to be made, and it's like, it's not a sunny day. It's even worse than this. We have, those of you who are online, we've got in Evanston here, we've got flood watches, so it's likely to be pretty stormy the rest of the day. The same thing's happening in California, right? So this stormy stuff, this expectation. So imagine you're at the foot of Mount Sinai, and you're ready to make this covenant with God. You're going to hear from God that day, and it's cloudy, and it's smoky, and it's fiery, and as God descends to the top of the mountain to sort of make this proclamation, the mountain begins to shake, and it's fearful, it's fearsome, it's powerful, and it's dark, and yet it's out of that darkness that the covenant is born between them. The Israelites, at the end of it, I think this is kind of delightful too, at the end of it, they're like, okay, Moses, we've heard from God now, and we'd like you to be all the one-on-one contact. You just let us know what God says, and we'll follow it. Right? We carry that kind of expectation about darkness around a lot. So as we can sort of cultivate a greater capacity to just rest in it, let the fear happen, but if we can just be present enough to it, we can create, resilience. We can create a courage to be able to be available to Spirit's expression in a different way, even when we don't know what comes next. especially when we don't know what comes next. So there's she doesn't know I'm going to do this exactly. She does know that we're going to be honoring her today, but I'm also going to be inviting her into conversation. This is the first that she's hearing of it. So I'm hoping that you'll be available to that. Maybe it's the rocking of the mountain for you now, but I know that you've been through a lot of rocky mountains and stormy times in your own journey. So let me tell you just a little bit about what's happening here. So Candace Lucas is our licensed Unity teacher. She's been, I guess, 3 or 4 years now. She got the credential. She earned the credential and has been teaching classes. When I first arrived at Unity 12 years ago, she was on the board when I was hired here. So we got to work very closely in all of that administrative, operational stuff. And she is brilliant. The administrative, the organizational, the marketing stuff, Candace has an amazing capacity for that. And she got done with her board service and was like, okay, I'm on board. I'm really interested in pursuing the teaching and really participating in the ministerial parts of the work, the pastoral parts, the prayerful parts. But she was done with the logistical, operational stuff, and she set that boundary very clearly. But what I've watched her do is take that same capacity for focus and use that in a bunch of areas in her life. In the 12 years I've known her, she has stepped into that unknown space over and over and over again and has just flourished every single time. So I thought it would be really wonderful. First I want to, this book is a gift for you, Candace. I also know that she's not easy to buy for. Candace is, the reason that we're sort of honoring her today is that she has sold her home and she is moving to Georgia, just off the coast of Savannah, off Georgia, like next week. So I wanted to be sure we were able to kind of recognize her contributions to the ministry and to really honor her, but also maybe glean a little bit of her incredible wisdom at sort of navigating these uncertain times. One of the stories that she shared with me on her journey is that, and this is before I arrived, but Reverend Richard Billings, who was kind of the Pope of Chicagoland Unity, is kind of how he was held in great esteem. But Candace was on the platform with him one time, and he finished his message, and then it was time for the offering, and he sat down next to her. Candace was on the platform with him, and he reached over and just touched her hand, and just that was his signal that he was done. The talk had like worn him out, and Candace was like, "So, I'm doing the offering? That's me?" And she stepped into that, and I really feel like Reverend Billings was kind of a foundational step in you sort of moving into that more ministerial role. So as I was going through my bookshelf, I found this book by H. Emily Cady, and it's signed by Richard Billings. So this is how I want to sort of honor you and say goodbye to you and say, wait a minute, not goodbye, because that's a cool thing about the virtual stuff is we can still stay connected, right? So that's one of those blessings. But Candace, if you would please come forward so we can just thank you for the love that you had shared, for the service that you have given, for the prayers that you have lent. Oh, thank you, Paul. So first, Reverend Billings carries his energy. Oh, we thought, we could have got you a Target gift card. We could have, she's trying to get rid of stuff because she's downsizing in this move. So I thought with Reverend Richard, it might be a great way. Yay. So if you would, you sit on the taller one. And so this is, many changes you have been through since I've known you. Started out with, looks like it is. I'm sorry. There's a green light that comes on if it's perfect. So many changes. The first really big one, I think, was maybe the shift out of that corporate job. Right? You had been very successful. They loved you. Would have loved to have you probably for another 20 years. And you had different guidance. Is that fair to say?
Definitely, yeah. I felt like I had done all that I wanted or needed to do in that space, and I felt like there was more for me to do outside of it. And moving on out of the corporate environment into a leadership role within a company within my own company was something that I had always had a desire to do, but just not the
right
time to do it.
So there was, in that desire, like, what was the guidance as you moved through? Because I know you really went deeply into sort of a spiritual deep dive. You went away for, it was weeks that you went away to a retreat. What was that?
Well, a lot was happening at the time. It was the loss of my sister, and I went to the Himalayan Institute for a month before starting the company, and just really to clear my head of what had happened in the past, to let all of that go and be open to what opportunities there could be for me and my growth in the future. I had no idea how it might. It was the summer and the beginning of the fall. I had no idea how it might start or how it might evolve, but by December, I had incorporated the company and then started to grow it from there.
Yeah. Well, see, what I love, though, is that your spiritual practice has been so much a part of that, of each step that you moved forward in, right? You were pretty confident, even though you didn't know what the company was going to be or how you were going to found it. You just sort of stay grounded in that practice.
I think I might have mentioned to you that one of the turning points for me was sitting there in here for service and listening to Megan McDonough, who sang, what would I do if I were brave? And it just touched me in a way. I was in tears because I felt that there was something bigger calling me, but I just couldn't get past the fear of stepping into it until I heard that song, because the question was there, and the answer was step out of where you are into where you know you want to be and where you need to be.
So tell me, was it scary then? I mean, or was that it? You heard the song, you were brave, and you went for it?
No,
what does the process look like?
I was scared the entire time. Even when I sat out to lay out what the goals would be for the company, I laughed at them thinking, this is unrealistic. And then when we exceeded those goals, I thought, well, I never would have guessed. Nancy, I was talking to Nancy Good at the time, and she had no doubt. It was amazing because she said, once you put it to paper, I knew it would happen. But the entire time I was stepping out on faith that it would all work out as it should. I had no idea what that would look like.
I want to cosmically highlight that, right? So you heard that. She set them down in paper, made the goals, and she had Nancy Good, who was the leader of our chaplain team here, she had support from someone in this community, right? We do this stuff together. That's another piece of spiritual practice that moves us more deeply into what we're meant to be doing. And it's remarkable. We came up with the board was working to clarify our purpose, and that whole thing about empowering and equipping people to take risks to live their deepest truth. You embody that so beautifully.
Well, and I had support from so many people here. I mean, I could call names, Ruth and others, who gave me resources to read or to consider or for visioning. And so the community, this entire community, supported me from the day I decided to step out until, and celebrated along the way with all the goals that I've accomplished, some of which I didn't know I had until I was there.
So talk a little bit about how, you've been around, I don't know how many years, way before I got here, so
21.
21 years, a member of this community for 21 years. So talk a little bit about how you created those supportive relationships. Did it just happen?
Well, the first supportive relationship I had here was with Susan, and we actually joined church at the same time. And as you have conversations with individuals about some of their goals and some of their prayer practices and some of the things that they've done in their lives, I'm just fascinated. I think I just like get to know people, understand their story, and I think you just feel a kinship with them in ways that that help feed you, and hopefully you're able to touch their lives or their life, or in individuals' lives in a way that, that helps them along their journey. So, and there's been so many people here who have touched me in so many different ways and continue to do so.
Yeah, and I know that's reciprocal. If you've not been in class with Candace, she's amazing. Just this wonderful, that interest, that curiosity, and her passionate commitment to unity principles. Like, she's living them. And never directive. I haven't ever seen you like, you need to go do this in your life. It's never that. You're really beautiful at allowing sort of wisdom to awaken. So I'm hoping we will continue to have her teaching online from Georgia or wherever you land. I'm trying to think what else that we have you here that I would love to have you speak to. Maybe just a little bit about this journey. Like, okay, so you left the corporate world, you started your own company, and now you've sold your house and you're leaving your family, and like, did it get any easier, like moving through these changes? Does it become?
No. There were a few years that I felt as if a move was the right thing for me from my house, and it was a slow process to get there. But once the pandemic hit, and you know, we always look at the things like the pandemic as, oh my God, it's a bad thing, and it has been a very trying time, but it was awakening for me because I felt like I knew that I wanted to make the move, make the transition, and I had a little bit of time to pack up a lot of things, and also to decide that this was it. You know, once I get past the pandemic or past the toughest part, that I would make the move. And didn't know exactly where the move would be, but I knew I wanted to put the house on the market. I knew I wanted to move out of the area into a warmer climate. And I figured, I'll take steps in the direction that I knew, and the rest would reveal itself. And I'm confident that...
Write that down. Take steps in the direction that we know. Yeah.
Because I don't know what's going to happen in a year or 2 years, but I did know I wanted to move out of the house. I knew I wanted to move out of the area. And I started to move in that direction, and so that's where I am now. There are days when I say, but I'm more excited than I am fearful at this point. Really looking forward to what's going to... It's always worked out. It's never not worked out. It's always worked out. So why would I think that this time would be different?
Yay. Thank you. Okay, wait, no, don't clap yet. So those of you who have been around know Candace, have probably connected with her in other places. If, as I said before, her visible presence at church the last few years hasn't been nearly as much. So if you haven't been around, maybe you don't know her as well, but she has been doing amazing stuff kind of behind the scenes, prayerfully, and one of those areas has been as our representative and delegate to Interfaith Action of Evanston, which supports hungry and homeless neighbors. So we're going to miss her, and we also want you all to know that there's an opportunity there to step in and really make sure that we continue to be a presence of love and light and helping hands in the work at Interfaith Action. So if you have any questions about what that entails, can they contact you?
Please, because that's one of the areas that has been a huge commitment for me, and I would love to see someone step into supporting that group and being the delegate there for us. They definitely need the support.
Oh, wait, I want to clarify. By huge commitment, you mean a great
heart.
Piece of your heart.
Yes.
Not it's a full-time job. It's, it's a...
No, it's, and they're wonderful people. If you love the community here, you absolutely love the community there as well. And we touch the lives of so many through our work with Interfaith Action. And that just gives me joy without a doubt.
Anything else you want to, parting words of wisdom that you would?
I just say thank you for 21 years of support and love in ways I couldn't have imagined. I'll always be a part of this community. No matter where I am, I'll always be a part of this community.
I knew you were going to end with gratitude. I just knew that's where you would go with it. Okay, so Candace, thank you. You know what, let's do we don't have the lyrics or the words on the screen, but most of you probably know the blessing that we do for children. You want to do that for Candace? Candace, we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, we behold the Christ as you, and we see you doing great things. So it is. Thank you, Candace. Much love. All right. So, yeah, like being able to be present to the questions that lie before us, and maybe even acknowledging the fear but not chasing it away. Oh, you know what? There was one more quote that I wanted to share that I think will wrap us up nicely and prepare us for meditation. This is for Barbara Brown Taylor as she's sort of encouraging her readers to move out of that concept of darkness as something to be afraid of or sinful or bad. She says, "To be human is to live by sunlight and moonlight, with anxiety and delight, admitting limits and transcending them, falling down and rising up. To want a life with only half of these things in it is to want half a life. Shutting the other half away where it will not interfere with one's bright fantasies of the way things ought to be." Right? So this beautiful sense of openness that is available to us if we simply can allow ourselves to be present to the mystery that lies in the dark and in the unknown. I had another friend that called it living life on the skinny branches. All right, so let's now go ahead and prepare for a time of meditation. I think Lori and Dennis are going to set the mood. So I invite you to take this opportunity to just settle into your seat. I'm going to lead you through a kind of breathing exercise that helped me to move through this week, ground me at the beginning of the week. Begin by inhaling to a count of 4, as deeply as you possibly can. Fill up your lungs, even in the back of your lungs. 2, 3, 4, and now exhale to the count of 8. As you exhale, you're pulling your belly in. Exhale out every last bit of air that you possibly can. Breathe in once more to a count of 4, filling your lungs to the greatest capacity that you possibly can. 3, 4, and exhale deeply. Feel your belly pulling in toward your spine. Exhale every bit of air. We're going to do that 2 more times. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Every bit of air. And breathe in. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 4, 6, 8. just let your breath return to its normal rhythm, wherever that is. We know that as we move into a state of greater physical relaxation, that there's a greater capacity to be present to the fullness of our life experience. Body, mind, and spirit are attuned now at a higher vibration. Breathe into this moment, to this higher level of thinking and seeing. And breathe in knowing that just as inhale and exhale is a beautiful part of a cycle of life and of living, darkness and light, sunlight and stars are part of a greater wholeness in our life experience. And once we become fully aware of that wholeness, we can let go of maybe some of the tension or anxiety that arises when we're fearful, when we don't know what comes next, when we don't know how we'll respond. It creates in us an energy where we can truly trust and then rest in a state of kind of active awareness, active availability to Spirit's movement and inspiration and guidance. So right here, right now, affirm, Spirit, I am open and receptive to the blessings of the light and the blessings of the dark. I am open and receptive that I might generate the courage to move forward if any fears arise, and I might generate the will and the strength to be grateful for all that is and all the possibilities yet to emerge. We'll close this time of meditation as we began. Breathe in. We'll just do it one cycle. Breathe in to a count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out to a count of 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And release, knowing together that we embody the very kind of wholeness that is inclusive of every aspect of this human experience and every dimension of the spiritual energies available to us. It is so in truth and in the name and in the love of the power that indwells us all. Amen. This is the time in our service when we set aside a period to give and receive, to give of the blessings that we have been so richly blessed with, and to receive of that spiritual energy that is so much a part of the flow of good in our lives and in our community. So let's see, instructions. You can give in this COVID times. We've got lots of ways for you to give. You can set up a text account with Tithely by just dialing that number, 815-827-6052. You can give online on the website at the top of every page. There's a little give button, www.unityns.org. Or, of course, you can mail tithes and offerings and checks here to 3434 Central Street in Evanston, Illinois. So let's just know together that sense of wholeness, that giving and receiving is a part of a divine flow, just like light and dark and fear and courage, that it's all part of how we embody the truth, the deepest truth of our divinity. Together, divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive.
Soul so weary, when troubles come and my heart burdened be, then I am still and wait here in the silence until you come and sit a while with me. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. There is no life without its hunger. Each restless heart beats so imperfectly. But when you come and I am filled with wonder, sometimes I think I glimpse eternity. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong now I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up to am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up to more than I can be.
And now it falls to me to wrap up today's service. Thank you so much, Henry. What a blessing you are to us, and what a beautiful gift. And thank you so much to Dennis and Laurie for bringing us the wonderful music today. Thank you also to our live stream team. For those who haven't been able to join us in the sanctuary, it's an amazing team effort. There are so many people who dedicate their time week after week to make sure that this happens. So thank you so much. Whether you're here in person or joining us virtually, your presence and participation have blessed us greatly too. We appreciate that you chose to join us here. And before we go, we just have a few announcements to make. First, join host Sharon Myers online on Mondays at 5 p.m. for our garden chat. She will share a recipe and you'll talk about today's message. You can get the Zoom link by looking at the UNS happenings or Shoreline e-blasts, or you can click on the link appearing in the Zoom chat now. The second announcement is that Unity on the North Shore showed up in a big way for the Crop Hunger Walk. Our UNS team raised over $2,000 towards ending hunger here and globally. A special thanks to our team leader, Sherry Blix. Great work, everyone. We are making a difference in the world. Viva La Diva is coming to UNS on Saturday, November 6th from 10 a.m. to noon. Bobby Wilson is an educator, entertainer, workshop facilitator, and motivational speaker. You know her as one of Chicago's favorite jazz singers and a UNS soloist, but did you know that she is a licensed religious science practitioner and a student of positivity practices, including a course in miracles? Bobby brings wit and humor to Viva La Diva, a workshop designed to help women examine the BS, belief systems, that may be causing unwanted stress. You will be entertained, enlightened, and inspired to open your mind to new possibilities at every stage of life. The workshop fee is $20, and you can register on the UNS website, www.unityns.org. As we move into the next phase of our UNS evolution, Reverend Greg Coles returns to guide us in an exploration of using change for spiritual growth. Exploring Change is an all-day workshop from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. with a lunch break that will include delving into seeing change as a way of life versus a destination, the power of authentic vulnerability versus blame, the Kubler-Ross stages of grief, personal journaling, and sharing. Register on the UNS website. Then, after the service that Sunday, from noon to 1:30 p.m., Reverend Greg will lead us in a ceremony of forgiveness and gratitude to release and make clear the path for Spirit to guide us to our next expression as individuals and as a ministry, letting go and letting God. And now, Ana Alvarez Navarro has a very special announcement about this year's Day of the Dead celebration.
Good morning, everyone. I am very honored and happy to be here working along with our beautiful Reverend Christina Garza, which I'm very thankful for the touch of bringing this beautiful tradition to this wonderful community. Thank you, Reverend Christina. And I want to thank Kate for all the work that she's put on helping putting together our altar in the back of the sanctuary. Thank you, Kate. I tried to put together some more information about the tradition, the origin of the tradition, the meaning of the objects used on the altar. And as we're starting our celebration this weekend and the following weekend, I invite each and every one of you to bring pictures or a message that you have for your deceased ones, so we can put it on the altar. If you are virtually, you can always go to the Unity Altar website and upload your pictures or the messages you have for your loved ones. I think that's all I have for today. I'll give you the website. It's www.unityaltar.com. That's UNITYALTAR.com. Thank you.
Thank you so much. As you can see, there's lots happening over the next couple of months, and the best way to stay connected is by subscribing to our weekly e-blasts. If you're not already receiving them, subscribe now using the link in the chat stream or going to our website. Once again, that's www.unityns.org. And that's it for our announcements. And now Henry will lead us in the peace song, followed by Priscilla with the prayer for protection.
That was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony.
Now, let us join together in saying the prayer of protection. The words are on your screen. The light of God surrounds us. I am light. The love of God enfolds us. I am love. The power of God protects us. I am power. The presence of God watches over us. I am presence. Wherever we are, God is. I am divine. Thank you for joining us this morning. Have a spirit-filled week, and we will see you next Sunday. Infinite blessings.
Have a wonderful week, my loved ones. Have a great one. We are thinking of you all the time, no matter